Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Just Law on Iqra TV. I'm your host Ilyas Bulbulia and I'll be with you for the next hour. As our regular viewers are aware, on Just Law we do two things. First of all, we normally discuss an area of law which is of interest to you, our viewers. And secondly, more importantly, Just Law is a live show. So whatever questions that you have on any aspect of English law, please feel free to pick up your phone and give me a ring, and hopefully I should be able to give you some guidance in relation to the questions and issues that you have. On this show, I should be able to cover most aspects of English law, matters ranging from immigration law matters, family law matters, criminal law matters. So whatever your questions are, as long as they pertain to English legal system, it should be something that I can give you some guidance on. Just a couple of points before we start the show. Obviously on a live show it's not possible to take very detailed information from callers when they call in. Now if it transpires that there's a lot of history and I need to look at a lot of the background before I can advise you, then I will ask you to leave your number with the control room and then I will give you a ring back. And likewise, if it transpires from your query that I need to look at documents before I can advise you, then likewise I will ask you to leave your number with the control room and then I will give you a ring after I have seen your documents. But in my experience, with the vast majority of questions that we are asked, I should be able to give you guidance live on air. Now, normally we get a lot of questions on immigration law matters, spouse applications, extension applications, indefinite leave to remain applications, which is fantastic. But on this show, the questions don't necessarily have to be limited to that area. Now, as always, as I said at the outset, we normally have a topic that we discuss which is of interest to you, our viewers. On last week's show, we looked at how somebody who is abroad and wants to join their husband or wife in the United Kingdom, how they can make an immigration application, an immigration spouse application to join their husband or wife in the United Kingdom. So we looked at that process, that initial stage of the immigration process where somebody wants to come to the United Kingdom, and we went through the various requirements, various conditions, various documents that need to be supplied in order to make a successful spouse application to the United Kingdom. What I want to do today is move one stage further, and assuming that whoever has been sponsored to come to the United Kingdom, the husband or wife, once they've come to the United Kingdom, obviously at some stage, because they have a limited visa, some stage we need to look at extending the visa, and it's that stage what I want to look at today, how to make a successful extension application in the United Kingdom. Now, in the same way as when a spouse application is made, there are a lot of requirements that need to be fulfilled. Obviously, when an extension application is made, likewise, there are various requirements relating to extension applications that need to be fulfilled. Now, first of all, just go back a bit. Somebody who's got a spouse visa, they're coming here as a husband or wife, how long is their visa valid for? The practice at the moment is in the home country, normally a spouse visa is granted for 2 years and 9 months. When it's granted, the actual sticker which is placed in the passport, whether it's an Indian passport, Pakistani passport, Bangladeshi passport, the sticker that is placed in the passport, the duration of that is only 1 month. Now, the idea behind that is once the visa is granted, and if it's for 1 month, the husband or wife who's abroad, they should travel within the validity of their visa. So although a successful spouse application results in a 2 years and 9 months visa being granted, in practice what happens is that the passport which is stamped, or the passport into which the sticker is placed confirming that a visa has been granted, that is only for 1 month. So the husband or wife who's abroad must travel to the United Kingdom for 1 month. Now that throws up some practical difficulties. First of all, Sometimes you don't know when that visa that your husband or wife has applied for is going to be granted. You normally have a rough idea. Successful applications on a fast track, it might be processed in about 2 months. On a standard application, your husband or wife's visa might be processed after 3 months. But there are many cases where it takes longer, and occasionally the decision is made much quicker than the normal processing time. Now, so sometimes you don't have much of an idea as to when that visa is going to be granted. But so your husband or wife needs to be prepared. Once they are granted the visa, they will need to leave their home country and travel to the United Kingdom within that month. Now, a couple of times I've come across a situation where that presents a problem, where somebody is, for example, finishing off a job, they can't simply leave, or they are studying and they need to finish their studies before they leave. Now, a couple of options you have in that situation. One is you can ask the Home Office to reissue the visa with a different travel validity date, or secondly, this is the easier way to go about it, which is for the husband or wife who's abroad, who actually does need to stay behind a little longer, for them to travel to the United Kingdom, and then once they're in the United Kingdom, for them to return back so that they can complete whatever they're doing. And once they've done that, whether it's completing their work or completing their studies, they re-enter the United Kingdom at that stage. So there are various options that you have. Let's take our first call before we go back to this topic. Hello, Assalamu alaikum.
अस्सलाम वरहमतुल्लाहि वबरकातुह।
जी भाई,
कैसे हो? खैरियत से हो?
अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह जी, ठीक ठाक है। आपकी तबीयत ठीक?
जी अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह।
जी जी भाई।
अच्छा, मुझे सवाल करना था
जी
कि अगर मैं एप्लीकेशन रखूँ इमिग्रेशन के लिए
जी
और मुझे रिफ्यूज करे वो लोग,
जी, ओके,
तो मुझे अपील रिव्यू करने के लिए कितने दिन मिलते हैं?
ऑलराइट, ओके। तो उसने जो रिफ्यूज़ किया, तो उसने अपील आपको दी या नहीं दी? बिल्कुल अपील नहीं
जी
दी।
अपील दिया जी।
अपील दिया उसने, राइट। और अपील ये कहाँ से अप्लाई किया था? वो यूके में से एप्लीकेशन हुआ है या तो होम कंट्री से एप्लीकेशन?
यूके से किया था मैंने।
ओके, सो यूके से अप्लाई किया, होम
उन
ऑफिस।
लोगों ने उसके लेटर के अंदर लिखा था 14 डेज के अंदर में,
जी।
और जो डेट लिखी है ना,
जी।
वो डेट तो पूरा नहीं है। उसके बाद हमें 2 वीक के बाद मुझे लेटर मिला।
ओके, ऑलराइट, ओके। तो वो जो लेटर है ना, तो लेटर में क्या लिखा है? उसने ये लिखा है कि आपको अपील भी वो दे रहे हैं, क्या लिखा है अंदर में? राइट ऑफ, जी जी, वो राइट ऑफ अपील के बारे में क्या लिखा है लेटर में?
सिर्फ रिव्यू का लिखा है अंदर में।
हाँ,
अपील भी आप कर सकते हो और रिव्यू भी कर सकते हो।
ऑलराइट, ओके, जी जी जी, ठीक है, ऑलराइट, ओके। तो जो राइट ऑफ अपील है ना, ये जो मेन राइट है, राइट ऑफ अपील, तो अभी सिचुएशन क्या है कि सम रिफ्यूज़ल्स जो होते हैं ना, इसमें रिव्यू देते हैं, एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव रिव्यू वो देते हैं, और उसकी टाइम लिमिट है 14 डेज़। जब आपको कागज़ मिलते हैं तब से वो 14 डेज़ शुरू होने चाहिए।
ओके, जब
मगर
कागज मिलता है तब से
तो हाँ, तो उसको आपको क्या करना चाहिए कि जो एनवलप में जो वो लेटर आता है, नॉर्मली वो रिकॉर्डेड डिलीवरी आता है, तो आपको वो रखना चाहिए। नॉर्मली वो रिकॉर्डेड डिलीवरी होगा, तो अगर वो आप एनवलप से जो नंबर लिखा है, रिकॉर्डेड डिलीवरी नंबर, आप रॉयल मेल की वेबसाइट में डालेंगे तो वहाँ कॉन्फर्मेशन होगा कि उसने कब वो लेटर डिलीवर किया था।
वो उन लोगों ने तो मेल किया था मुझे, और
ईमेल किया उसने
जी,
और ईमेल किया है ना, तो उसका टाइम शुरू होता है जब से उसने भेज दिया आपको।
ओके,
हाँ, जब से भेजा, तो इसमें
अगर रिव्यू में भी मुझे रिजेक्ट कर दे वो लोग, रिफ्यूज करें, जी, तो रिफ्रेश एप्लीकेशन कर सकता हूँ?
जी, जो अगर उसने आपको रिव्यू दिया है ना, उसका मतलब ये है कि सिर्फ आपके पास रिव्यू है, तो जब 14 डेज़ में आपको रिव्यू डाल देना चाहिए। अगर कोई लेट हो गया तो उसको बताना चाहिए कि ये वजह से लेट डाला, मगर आपको अब जब तक कर सके वो 14 डेज़ में आप रिव्यू डाल दो। रिव्यू के बाद वो डिसीजन देते हैं। नॉर्मली आपका जो रिफ्यूज़ल है उसको रिव्यू करना, उसको रफली 1 मंथ लगता है नॉर्मली, ठीक है। तो अगर रिव्यू उसने किया, उसके बाद भी उसने ना कह दिया कि नहीं, आपने जो एप्लीकेशन किया था उसमें ये मिस्टेक्स थी, दिस मिस्टेक, इसलिए रिव्यू में भी आपको हम वीज़ा नहीं देंगे। तो जब रिव्यू का जब डिसीजन आएगा तो उसके बाद आप रीअप्लाई कर सकते हैं, बट यू मस्ट अप्लाई विद इन 14 डेज़।
ओके, फ्रेश एप्लीकेशन के साथ?
फ्रेश एप्लीकेशन आपको 14 डेज़ में डाल देना चाहिए। वैसे तो आप ओवरस्टे हो जाते हैं, मगर अगर आपने 14 डेज़ में एप्लीकेशन डाल दिया तो ओवरस्टेइंग का जो रूल्स है ना वो आपको इफ़ेक्ट नहीं होगा, वो ऐसे ही करेंगे जैसे आपने वो टाइम पे आपका एप्लीकेशन चल रहा है। सो आपको मैं एग्जांपल दूँ, अगर किसी ने कोई स्टूडेंट पे अप्लाई किया और उसके बैंक में इनफ पैसे नहीं थे, इसलिए होम ऑफिस ने ना कह दिया और होम ऑफिस ने कहा कि आपके पास रिव्यू है। रिव्यू में आपने कहा कि लोग सॉरी हमारी मिस्टेक होगी, अभी हमारे पास बैंक स्टेटमेंट्स है। रिव्यू में वो कहेंगे कि नहीं आपकी गलती है, आपने टाइम पे बैंक स्टेटमेंट्स नहीं डाले थे, और वो रिव्यू में भी ना कह देंगे। तो फिर क्या होता है कि आपको 14 डेज़ में दोबारा अप्लाई कर देना चाहिए और जो पहले जो मिस्टेक्स थी उसको रेक्टिफाई करके डाल देना चाहिए। तो इसमें पॉसिबिलिटी है कि ऑन द री एप्लीकेशन, क्योंकि आपने 14 डेज़ में डाल दिया, इसमें पॉसिबिलिटी है कि वो सक्सेसफुल हो जाएगा एट दैट स्टेज। जी नो प्रॉब्लम है, जज़ाकल्लाह आपके कॉल के लिए। So just the question related to reviews and appeals, and it's slightly complicated nowadays because the system that we have is once a decision is made, they will either not give you an appeal at all, or they might give you a review, the possibility of reviewing the decision, or they might give you the right of appeal to a court within the United Kingdom whilst you are still in the United Kingdom. So there are, or they might well say you do have a right of appeal, but it's from after you leave the United Kingdom. There are various outcomes that you can get after an unsuccessful application. It depends on the kind of application that you submitted. So you need to be aware, you need to look at what they've said, and then obviously try and comply with the time limit that you've been issued with in terms of reviewing or appealing. Now, just going back to what we were discussing, and I was just setting out the background to these spouse applications, assuming a husband or wife has now come to the United Kingdom. How do we extend their visa? So initially I was saying before we took the call was the initial visa would be granted for 1 month, and thereafter the person needs to travel to the United Kingdom. They will pick up their visa card from a local post office that's been nominated, and that visa card will confirm that the visa that's been granted is for a total duration of 2 years and 9 months. Now, so husband or wife is in the United Kingdom, they've got this visa. What's the most important thing? Well, obviously the most important thing is you must ensure that before the visa expires, you submit an extension application, because if you were to miss the deadline for submitting the extension application, then the consequences could be quite significant. So you must ensure that the deadline is met and any extension application is done on time. The Home Office may accept a late application, but they only do so in very limited circumstances. So for example, if there is a medical reason as to why somebody was unable to submit an application in time, and as long as the application was submitted within 14 days of the expiry of the visa, the Home Office may accept that as an application which they would consider as a sort of an in-time application. But the key thing is you need to make sure you don't end up in that situation. You do get your application in on time. So remember the time limit. The second issue really is this, and we get asked this numerous times. The financial requirement which was met upon the visa application being made, the 18,600 requirement that was complied with, does the sponsor in the UK, does the sponsor need to continue earning 18,600 per annum, or if they lose the job, what happens in that situation? There's a very simple answer to that, which is that these applications are just judged in most cases based on the last 6 months of income. So as far as the financial requirement is concerned, there is no requirement, there is no obligation for the sponsor or the applicant to continue working for the 2.5 years or the 2 years and 9 months that the applicant is in the United Kingdom. the Home Office simply looks at the circumstances in the 6 months prior to the application being submitted. So that's the sort of background. One is remember the date. Secondly, really the focus is on the last 6 months, although there are some exceptions to that. So bearing in mind that those are the two key things you have to keep in mind, what are the other requirements which you must fulfill in order to get your extension? You've done the hard work of getting your visa, you're in the United Kingdom. What must you now do to ensure that your visa is extended in the United Kingdom? What are the requirements that you need to be thinking about? Well, there are, in my experience, a couple of key points that you need to bear in mind. And in reality, they are really broken down into three things that you need to bear in mind. A lot of the other requirements are very easy to fulfill, so I won't trouble you with that at this stage. But for an extension application, if you bear in mind three things, your application should very smoothly be successfully extended when that initial period comes to an end. So what are these three things that you must bear in mind? Let me take this next call before we return to this. Hello, Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Ji bhai.
Am I speaking to Ilyas?
You are speaking to Ilyas. Yep. Thank you for calling.
Yeah.
Ji.
How are you? Okay.
Alhamdulillah, good. How are you? Are you okay?
Yeah, alhamdulillah.
Mashallah, good.
I wanted to ask you about immigration thing.
Ji, all right.
Will you answer to me?
Yeah, no problem, Ji. Okay.
Yeah, so inshallah next month I will be applying for spouse visa.
Okay, all right.
I'm currently a student.
Okay.
So I was thinking first of all that I will be I'm an international student.
Okay, all right.
And when I came to UK, I gave IELTS exam.
Okay, all right.
But 6th of this month, it has expired.
Okay, all right.
Because
okay.
it lasts for only 2 years.
Okay, all right, okay.
So I had a question that will I still have to give English exam?
Okay.
Or,
all right. So
or because I have the bachelor degree, and I have done that bachelor degree in English medium.
All right, okay, all right, okay. So, yeah. So you've got two things there. You have first of all a bachelor's degree, okay,
yeah.
And the second thing is you've already previously used an IELTS certificate, right?
Yeah.
To come to the United Kingdom. The best option for you is, the bachelor's degree that you have.
Yeah.
Did you get it compared at UK NARIC? Did you get a certificate?
Yeah, that's what I applied. I think a couple of days before.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I applied and then I gave them the transcript and I gave them the certificate from university that I have studied my bachelor's in English.
Okay, okay.
And I gave them certificate, but I don't know that will that help? Will UK NARIC certificate will help me?
Yes. So if UK NARIC, if you want to rely on your degree certificate, as long as UK NARIC confirm two things. First of all, they confirm that degree that you've done abroad is it's comparable to a UK degree. So if they confirm that, and secondly,
they will definitely confirm it.
Right. Okay. And secondly, they should be able to confirm that the medium of instruction was in English at. I think they confirm that it's at C1 level. That's what they normally confirm. So, so you should be able to get both pieces of evidence from UK NARIC. There's two things that UK NARIC need to confirm. First of all, the degree is comparable to a UK degree, which you're saying it is. And secondly, that the medium of instruction was in English as well. So if you get both of those statements from UK NARIC, then you don't need to do an English test. In the United Kingdom, ever, you don't need to do it at the initial spouse application stage. You don't need to do it at the extension stage. You don't need to do it at the indefinite stage or nationality. That UK NARIC statement of comparability is sufficient for you.
Okay, the second question, can I ask?
Yep.
There are other calls waiting.
Yep, no, sure, carry on. Yep.
I had another question that my fiancée, I'll be getting married to her.
Yep.
Inshallah. So she just recently has been given the permanent contract.
Okay, that's
permanent
fine.
Contract.
Okay.
So she didn't have before.
Okay.
But I think this month, I think a couple of weeks ago, she has been given the permanent contract.
Okay.
But she still have the 6-month wait slip.
Okay.
So will I still be able to apply or not this November?
Yeah, that shouldn't be a problem, because what you look at is, you don't look at whether the person, your wife has a fiance, wife to be, whether she has a permanent contract or a temporary contract. Don't look at that. Ignore that completely. Look at whether she has worked for the same employer. Has she been employed by the same employer? That's what you need to look at. Now, as long as she has been employed by the same employer for 6 months, you can rely on her last 6 months wage slips. It doesn't matter that previously it was temporary, now it's permanent. That's irrelevant.
Okay. And as I'm an international student, I'm working as well. So can I show my income as well?
Yep, 100% you can. Obviously, you need to make sure that your hours of work, they are in line with the conditions. So term time, 20 hours out of.
Obviously, I can't work more than 20 hours, but on holiday time I have worked more than that.
Yeah, no, absolutely fine.
I was allowed to.
Yeah. So what
but
you can.
The problem is, I will be leaving job after marriage. So will I still be able to put my wage slip?
Yeah. So right. Again, the key thing is, it doesn't matter when you leave your job, as long as you are in that employment as at the date of application. That's what you need to look at.
All right.
So for example, if you were to submit your application today, if you leave your job next week, it doesn't matter. It's as at the date of application, you must have worked for 6 months and you must be in that job at that time.
Okay, that's fine. Then.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Okay, thank you
very much for your call. Thank you very much indeed. So that call really relates to similar to what we're discussing today. Initially, what we were looking at is somebody who's been in the United Kingdom on a spouse visa. They want to now extend their visa, but obviously somebody who's in a different category in the United Kingdom can also extend their visa as well. Let's take our next call before we return to this. Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Hello, walaikum salam.
Ji. Thank you for calling. Aapka question?
This call is about my mom. She's on discretionary leave to remain.
Okay.
She's over 65, and I want to know that what would happen next.
Okay. Now, when did she get the discretionary leave to remain? When did she get it? Which year did she get it?
She got it in the next. In June 2020, it will expire.
Okay. So is it a 3-year visa, or is it extended for 2.5 years? That's what I'm trying to get to.
I think it's a 3-year. I'm not particularly sure, but is it possible if I could send you her?
Yeah, you can.
You have a look at it.
Yeah, the best thing to do is after this call, if you leave your number with the control room. You might need to call in and leave your number. I'll ring you back, because here what we need to look at is what kind of discretionary leave does she have. If she has an old style discretionary leave where they used to grant it for 3 years and then grant it again for 3 years, that leads to settlement after 6 years. If she has a new style discretionary leave where it's for 2.5 years, it's extended for 2.5 years, you need to complete not 6 years but 10 years. So it depends on what kind of discretionary leave she has. That determines what needs to be done going forward. So
thank you very much. I will do that. And also, is she able to work as well?
Yes, on all discretionary leave visas, they are able to work. Whether it's an old style 3-year visa or a new style 2.5-year visa, she's allowed to work on both types of visas, definitely, on discretionary leave.
Okay, thank you. I will give my number at the end of the program.
Okay, no problem. I'll call you back. If you just get hold of the visa card, that will help me work out what kind of visa that she has. Thank you very much for your call. So just going back to what we were discussing before the calls, which is extending your visa in the United Kingdom. What I was saying before the calls, anybody who's on a spouse visa in the United Kingdom and they will be looking at extending their visa as a spouse in the United Kingdom, they need to bear 3 things in mind. Now, there are various other requirements which need to be fulfilled, but if you simply keep these 3 things in mind, then you should be able to very easily extend your visa. That process should be very smooth and straightforward. So what are these key things? First of all, there's an English language requirement that will need to be fulfilled. there is a financial requirement which will need to be fulfilled, and there is a requirement to show that the relationship is genuine and subsisting. So those are the three things that you will need to deal with: English, finances, and genuineness, and the fact that the relationship is subsisting. So those are the three things. If you bear those three things in mind, and I'm going to look at that in greater detail, you should be able to very easily extend your visa when that visa comes to an end. So let's look at these three things in greater detail. First of all, the English language requirement. Anybody who came to the United Kingdom on a spouse visa will remember that they had to pass this test in their home country, Pakistan, Bangladesh, India, wherever it is. They would have done a test which is at A1, which is known as A1 life skills. Now there are various other ways of meeting the English language requirement. We had a caller who talked about having a degree, etc. That's all well and good. In the vast majority of cases, applicants who are coming to the United Kingdom as a spouse, normally they will pass a test which is called A1 life skills, which is administered by a company called IELTS or the CELT consortium. Now, in the same way that at the initial application stage you had to pass an English test, in the same way at the extension stage you have to pass an English test. Again, the only difference is that at the extension stage the test that you need to do is at a slightly higher level. So instead of doing what you did before, which is a test at A1 level, at the extension stage you do a test at A2 level, which is slightly higher. Now, in the same way that you could only do that A1 test at a particular test center, likewise in the United Kingdom, when you apply for the extension and you want to do that A2 test, you can only do that test at a particular center as well. So there are specific requirements as to where you do the test. Now, we'll look at that in greater detail after we've taken a short break. We should be back in the next couple of minutes.